happen to connect with someone who happens to be very interested in something that you did. Oh, and this is, I get this. I know what this is. So, an example of this is I fly out to Silicon Valley to meet a friend, and he's a struggling entrepreneur. And I get there, and I have an 11 o'clock meeting with him, but I get to his office, and all the lights are off. And there's a big red sign in the door saying, you know, eviction, you know, there's a padlock on the door. This does not look good for my friendly entrepreneur. But, you know, it's in the startup business, this kind of thing happens a lot. So I call his main office number, and funny thing happens, his phone has been disconnected, and I'm not making this up. So his phone is disconnected, I get the message on the phone. And that's it, I'm just about to give up. You know, obviously, this is probably not the next Facebook, I'm on my way out. And he comes running around the back of the building. And he says, oh, John, come back. No, we have to sneak in the back because we got locked out, but we're here and waiting for you, and please, come. So he marshals me into the back of the building, and all the lights are off in the office. They have no power. So this is how they're going to pitch me on becoming an investor in the project. Right? So it was very nice. I told him, I said, listen, you know, have you talked to any of the guys in Silicon Valley, any of the usual suspects that we know? And he said, yes. I've offered 70% of my company to every single investor in Silicon Valley. And every single one of them, and I went through the list, everybody I knew, every single one of them turned him down flat. He offered for $1 million, 70% of his company. He got turned down flat by every single investor in Silicon Valley. And it's funny because I wasn't going anywhere near this company myself, so I understood. So it was very nice. We exchanged formalities, and I got the hell out of it. And so I went right to the airport. I got on a plane. This guy's name is Scott Walchuk. You can look it up. Flew back to Boston. It was about an 8-hour flight. Went to sleep. Woke up the next morning. Picked up the Wall Street Journal in that short amount of time. Inktomi buys C2B Technologies for $150 million in that short amount of time. Look it up. I still can't believe it myself to this day. So for $1 million, you could have had 70% of $150 million in 2 or 3 days. So this is unbelievable. But this is my life. These kinds of things happen. They happen day in, day out. They happen to entrepreneurs. And they happen because, you know, everybody in this room, they would have given up. They would have given up long ago. They wouldn't have got to the point where the lights were shut off. They were locked out of their building. They were turning off the phone. And still they were trying to bring investors out to pitch. But they didn't give up, and Scott didn't give up. And so sure enough, I called him up, and I was like, Scott, what, is this a different company? And he's like, John, I just can't believe it. He said, thank God my cell phone had not been turned off. Because you left, and the guys from Inktomi called, and they called me on my cell phone, and they said, Scott, the guys from Inktomi, you know, we're looking for this market basket shopping cart technology, and we heard that you've got the best technology, so we want to meet. And he said, 4 hours later, we had done a deal, they had bought us for $150 million. So you probably all used the shopping cart, right? Well, Scott invented the shopping cart. So the point of this, which I hope you get, maybe you won't, but the point of this is never give up. Never give up. And good things will happen. Just through sheer force and strength and determination, you will accomplish your goals. With that positive belief, that strength and determination, you will accomplish your goals. So, let's see. That was my Scott Walchuk. I hope you like it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it translated into Romanian well. Stay tough. Yes. Okay, people fall asleep. So I will. So I'll tell you my. So this idea of just show up too. So I had a meeting with Mike. And so now, how many people have heard of Dell? Oh. Okay, so Michael Dell, I got to know pretty well, over the years, and he's some of the Dell guys are partners with me in Net Capital, which is a little private equity fund that we started. And so Michael, so my first meeting with Michael, I had a flight. We had a flight that was going to get us into Austin, Texas, about 3 hours before the meeting with Michael. And we had to fly, it was like a 6-hour flight. So my partner and I, we showed up at the airport, we went to the gate, we're all excited, this is going to be one of the biggest meetings of our lives, and the flight is canceled. And we looked at each other and we were like, holy smokes. I mean, we know all we have to do is show up. And we're not even going to be able to show up. Because we had sort of scheduled this thing the wrong way. And, we never even occurred to us that they might just cancel. So it turns out, we're scrambling, to find another flight. And there is only one other flight. And if we get on that flight, we might make it to the meeting about 10 minutes early. If everything goes perfectly. And by the way, that flight is 2 miles away running through the airport, and it's not an exaggeration. It was an enormous distance. And we had about, 8-minute mile, we had about 15 minutes to get there. So we just went, hauling across the airport, completely dead tired, out of breath, get to the gate, and the plane, without exaggeration, is pulling back away from the and, we looked at each other like we just made the biggest mistakes of our lives. It takes a year to get a meeting with someone like Michael, and you probably are not going to get a second one. And now the plane is pulling back, and we're completely screwed. And so there was this really nice woman sitting at the ticket counter, and she looked at us, and she knew we were like our dog had just died. And we said, we need to get on that flight. And she said, oh yeah, no, it's pulled back. It's just, you're not going to cost it. There's no. And if anyone has ever flown, this does not happen. But she said, you know what, so she got on the phone and she radioed the captain. And she said, you know what, I've got 2 guys that need to get on the flight. Is there any way you could come back? This does not happen. But it did happen. And it's one of these things where, if you're positive and you don't give up and you're nice to people, and we didn't, blow up at her, we were very nice. She had the opportunity to help us, and she decided to try to take it. And then the captain of the plane, he had the opportunity to try to help. So he decided, okay, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, and he did pull back. And we got on a flight, and we went to see Michael. We had a great meeting with Michael, and he handed us a check for $1 million. $1 million. So this is a lot of money. For me, it's a lot of money for you. It's a lot of money for everyone. And so we did show up. We got this $1 million check from Michael, and we absolutely would have lost this $1 million if that woman at the counter hadn't pulled the plane back, and the captain of that flight hadn't been willing to do it. So little things that you do can have a tremendous effect on the lives of the people around you. So I will just, I will say one more thing, which is something that I learned from Casey Powell, who nobody knows, running Suceava. But in America, believe me, he is tremendous. He built a $20 billion company from scratch, computer company, and he sold it to IBM. And he told me something that I've taken with me through my whole life. He said something very interesting. He said, if you have a goal or you give someone a task to accomplish, and they come back to you and they're giving you some excuse for why they weren't able to get done what they needed to do, or they weren't able to accomplish the goal. He said, all you have to do is you just have to ask yourself, you just have to ask this one question. And the question you have to ask is, if your life depended on it, could you have accomplish that task. If it was, I accomplish this task and I live, and I don't and I die. This question, it's a very important question, because if the answer to the question is yes, I could have accomplished this task if my life depended on it, and you did not accomplish the task, you have a problem with motivation. Okay? And this problem with motivation is what's holding you back. It's not the obstacle that was placed in front of you. It's not, it's not that they turned off the lights. It's not that, they shut off your phone. It's that you didn't have that strength and that commitment and that determination to put maximum effort into what you were trying to accomplish. Absolute maximum effort. And so if you can find a way to do that, if you can find a way to put maximum effort into the things that you accomplish, if you can find a way to take the goals and the tasks that you're trying to accomplish and to do them as if your life depended on it, that's the kind of effort that leads to success. And I can tell you, those are the kind of people that I like to work with, because that's how I am. And these are guys from Suceava, and I flew 10,000 miles, okay, to spend time with these guys. And I can tell you, these guys work 16 hours a day, they work 7 days a week, they want to make tremendous impact in the world, and they work as if their life depended on it. So if I ask Bogdan, why didn't this get done? And he says, it could not be done. It will be done, he says the same thing. It will be done tomorrow, but it could not be done. I know he did that as if his life depended on it. And I have confidence in his answer. And I'll tell you one more story from the story about eBay. So has anyone heard of eBay? This is good. So I'm in a situation just like this. What's your name?
Sorry.
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 Sorry?
Yes.
What did you say to her?
About eBay.
You cannot sell her on eBay. I know this is I have been, and by the way, not that she wouldn't be saleable. People would pay, no problem. This is not allowed. So eBay. So I'm in Suceava University, West Coast. It's called Stanford University, and in case you don't know, yes, that's a big company. So Stanford is a great school. So I'm at an event like this, and someone introduces me to this young entrepreneur. And he comes up to me and he says, the person who introduced us says, he's doing this thing called eBay, and it's very exciting and it's got a lot of momentum. And I know you haven't heard of it, but this could be big. Something you need to talk to him. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll talk to him. That's fine. So he brought him over and he introduced him. And he said, I have this thing called eBay. And I said, yeah, Pierre, I know eBay. In fact, I was probably one of the first users on eBay, maybe the first 100. And because that's what I do. I like to, I find new things. I like to be on top of what's happening in the industry. And I've been on your site. And I have an account here. And let me tell you, eBay sucks. It don't work. And I'm not at all impressed. And then something very, almost magical happened. He looked at me, and he smiled. And he did not get defensive, which is what everybody in this room would do. They'd be like, oh no, it worked. These guys, it works. What do you mean? It works fine. There's nothing wrong with this. Everything is good because it works in Romania. There's no problem with Romania. But in America, it does not work. But he didn't do that. And to this day, I am still so impressed with that. He looked at me, and he smiled, and he said, John, you know what? You're absolutely right. It sucks, it doesn't work, and it's a disaster. But it is a cool idea, and here's the promise I will make. I promise if you come back to eBay in a month, that these problems will be resolved, the database will respond quickly, the service will be fantastic, and you'll really be impressed. So would you be nice enough to do that? And I you know what? I said, you know what? That is a great answer, and I will. And I will come back and that is the end of, that's the end of my semi-prepared remarks. So before you leave, you have to ask a question. You don't get to hear the answer, but you have to ask a question. What's your name?
Alan.
Adam?
Alan.
Alan. Nice to meet you.
What projects are you involved now?
Okay.
Innovation?
Yeah, that's good. Let's
You
do
want
it.
to
You can go. So, how long before people get tired of hearing me say, I don't know. What I would really love to do is I would love to take one of these guys. Okay, Bogdan, Christy, Sim. Is Sim here?
Yes.
Sim, I haven't spoken about you, and everybody knows you're my favorite. So come up here for, you have like 2 minutes or less, okay? I want you to come up and I want you to tell them about netcapital.com, okay?
That's how.
No.
You should tell them.
Up here.
You know better.
You can speak Romanian too. Come on,
Concept.
come on, up. I'm going to sit here.
You want to speak Romanian?
Speak from here.
In Romanian.
Either way, I know what netcapital does, right?
How do you know if I'm not swearing?
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Lucrez la Sistoftă. Net Capital este o platformă de socializare pentru companii, antreprenori, investori. Interconectează persoane care caută, nu știu, o companie în care se integreze sau ajută companii să se dezvolte.
You get 30 seconds.
10.
This is why he codes.
That's right.
Listen, I
I
promise
get
you,
get back to writing software.
I promise you though, you will be giving a presentation, you will be giving this in front of a large group of people, you will be speaking in conferences, and you will have a lot of practice.
I'd rather write.
You did great. No. You would rather spend all the money.
Thanks.
So, I have no idea. I hope you So, what's your name? The woman who's being sold on eBay later? Medel? Medel. Yeah, that's or Da. Do you have a question? No is not an acceptable answer. That just means you weren't listening. There's 100 people waiting. What did I say today that you will remember? What if there's one thing that I said that you will remember? What would it be? Other than